Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking you through my everyday makeup drawers. This is one of them and I had a little bit of makeup in it already, but I went ahead and curated both of the drawers specifically for spring. I didn't have any makeup in the other drawer, so I went ahead and took out the random office supplies that I had in there that I rarely use, and I decided to make it into my second everyday makeup drawers. So now I have space for all the things that I want to get some use out of during the spring. But let's go ahead and start with this section over here. This is where I keep my primers, concealers, some skin tints, as well as a couple of foundations. I know I have quite a few primers in here, but I really do use all of these. This is actually the newest one, the E.L.F. Jelly Pop one. This one I have actually only used once, but I am planning on continuing to test it out. So far I liked it. It's very hydrating. It is one of those sticky gripping primers, which I'm a huge fan of. So I do want to keep this in my everyday makeup drawer to make sure that I keep testing it out. And then this one is of course a favorite. I feel like I've been talking about this a ton on my channel lately, but this is the E.L.F. Power Grip Primer with Niacinamide. And I'm super close to running out of this, but luckily I do have a backup. And then another primer from E.L.F. This is the Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. This one is slightly mattifying, but it does a really good job at blurring my pores, and it just tends to work with most foundations. I really haven't had any issues with this primer with any foundations in particular, so I've been still loving this one. This one from Hourglass is a sample, the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer, and I've been really enjoying this one. I love the way that it looked with this foundation in particular, the one from About Face, which I will talk about in a little bit, but I feel like this is such a good primer. I think it is pricey because it is Hourglass, but I am planning on purchasing the full size in the future. There's no rush for me though. I feel like this sample is gonna last me a while, especially because I do have quite a few other primers that I'm trying to work through, but it's just a solid go-to primer for me. It's very perfecting on my skin. It does do a good job at minimizing my pores, which is something that I've always struggled with. And then this one from Charlotte Tilbury, the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'm super close to running out of this one. I think I have about a quarter left of it, so that is super exciting because I have been trying to work through this one, and it's just a really good luminizer. I love this underneath my foundation. The About Face foundations, which I have in two shades. This one is in LM1 Warm, and then I also have Medium 1 Warm. I have been continuing to test these out, and I really like them. I just don't love that I have to mix both of these shades, but I have to do that with a lot of foundations anyway, so it's not a big issue. I just hopefully can find a shade that matches me better instead of having to mix these two. But I've really been enjoying it. It has, I would say, medium coverage with a brush, and then with a sponge, which is my preferred method of application, it does tend to have light to medium coverage, so a little bit more coverage with a brush, and it does wear a decent amount of time on me, so I've been liking this one. These from Wet n Wild, however, the Bare Focus Niacinamide Skin Tints, I have not been liking these. I've been trying to make them work. I also have these in two shades. This one is in Cream Beige, which is a medium warm, and this one is too deep for me on its own, so I do have to mix it with this lighter one. This one is in Fair Beige, which is a light warm shade, but this one is way too light on me. This has light coverage with a brush, and with a sponge, it's more on the sheer side. It's not buildable in my opinion. It does tend to look a little cakey on the skin if you try to build it up. And when I did try this in a try new makeup video recently, it did start peeling off of my skin in certain areas, so that was unfortunate. But I'm gonna try it at least 1 to 2 more times to see if I can possibly make it work before I talk about it in a drugstore makeup roundup video, which I'm planning on doing very soon. I just need to gather my thoughts on some of the makeup that I tried. So I have two color correctors. This one is from Milani, the Conceal and Perfect Under Eye Brightener in Melon. I like that this one is lightweight and the shade seems to work pretty well for me. So I like pairing this with other concealers that have more coverage, or sometimes I do like to wear it on its own, but I usually pair it with another concealer over top. And then this one from E.L.F. I use for the redness on my cheeks, the Camo Concealer in green. I like that whenever I use this, I tend to use less foundation because it does tone down the redness on my cheeks, so I don't feel like I need as much coverage. So this has been a favorite for a while. And then I have 3 concealers. This one from Kosas I like to use on really light makeup days, like when I'm not wearing any foundation. So this one is in the shade 3. And the only thing I don't love about this is the shade. It's super yellow, and I do have a yellow undertone, but it can be a little much sometimes. So I think when I run out of this, I might pick up a different shade, something more on the neutral side. I love how this one looks on my under eyes, and I also like it to spot conceal. This one has come back into my life. I used to use this a few years ago, and I didn't love it back then. I thought it was a little too matte, but I actually really like it now. This is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser Concealer. And I have this in the shade 120 Light, but this looks really pretty on my under eyes. It's super lightweight, and I feel like it gives just enough coverage. So I've been reaching for this one a ton lately. And then I've also been reaching for this one more than when I first purchased it, the Haus Triclone Concealer. This one is in the shade 10 Light Golden. I forget what video I used this in, but it might have been a recent Shop My Stash video, but I think I mentioned that this one doesn't always look good on me. And lately I find that it actually has been looking really good every time that I use it. I think the key is to not use too much product because it is a thicker consistency. And I'm not usually a fan of such thick concealers, but this one somehow works for me. It wears a really long time as well. I feel like I can wear this at least 8 to 10 hours and it looks almost the same as when I first apply it. I'm really glad that I gave it another chance, even though I wasn't loving it at first. These are the 2 sunscreens that I like to rotate through, the Canmake Mermaid Skin Gel UV. I've been using this one for years and it's still my #1 favorite. Even though I've tried quite a few other sunscreens, this one is the one that I always go back to because my skin seems to love it. This one never irritates my eyes, and that's actually an issue that I have with most sunscreens. It also wears really well under makeup. This one I'm not as much of a fan of. I like it, but I think under makeup, I definitely prefer the one from Canmake. This one can be a little too greasy on me, especially under makeup, but this is the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Rice Plus Probiotics sunscreen. And this one, even though it doesn't irritate my eyes quite as much as other sunscreens do, it does still do that a little bit. So I do like it, but it's not a favorite. I just don't wear it as much as the Canmake one. I have quite a few blushes and bronzers in here, but a lot of these I'm still kind of testing. So this one from Physicians Formula, the Butter Glow Bronzer Plus Blush. I've really been liking this one so far. I like to swirl all of these together and it creates a really pretty glowy bronzer. You can also use it kind of like a blush topper if you focus more on the pinky side. And then the highlighters in here I think are really pretty as well. I love that they don't emphasize my texture too much. And actually, I just realized that this has a brush at the bottom. I forgot that Physicians Formula tends to do that. So it does have a mirror and a brush. This one is also new to me, the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Bronzer in the shade Hey Honey. And this is a really good shade for me right now, but I think in the summer, I could probably go up 1 shade. And I really like this formula. It does remind me of the one from Tower 28, which is another favorite of mine. This one has a slightly more powdery finish, I would say, but they're super similar in my opinion. I don't know that I would call them dupes, but it's definitely a really good alternative. The E.L.F. Primer Infused Bronzer in the shade Forever Sunkissed. This one has been a favorite for a while now, and I'm actually close to hitting pan. I don't know that you can see the rings at the bottom, but I feel like within a few months I could hit pan, maybe by the end of the year. But this is just a go-to powder bronzer for me. It's super easy to use, especially because it's not super pigmented, so this one is really user-friendly. This one is from Give Beauty. This is the Pick It Up Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo in the shade Toastin'. And I really like this one, but I feel like I haven't used it quite as much as I should. I've used it a handful of times, but I want to get some more use out of it. This is a newer product in my collection. I did purchase it sometime at the end of last year, I think. I like that the cream contour is more on the neutral side. So it's not like a gray cream contour, but it's also not warm toned. And then the powder bronzer is more on the warm side. So I like that they have a mix of tones in here. The packaging of these Give Beauty complexion products, I think, is super pretty. And I like that all three are different. This one is the highlighter, and I would say this one is my favorite packaging out of the three. It's a checkered print with a little bit of a holographic finish. This highlighter has been a favorite for the past couple of months. I liked it as soon as I tried it, but I wasn't really sure that it would become a favorite, but it definitely has now. I like mixing all of the shades together, and then sometimes, depending on the look that I do, I like to focus more on the pinky ones or on the gold shades. It gives a really pretty glow to the skin, and it doesn't have any sort of glitter, so it's just a fine shimmer. And then this other one from Give Beauty, the Feelin' Cheeky Amplifying Blush Duo in the shade Stars Aligned. This one I also really like, but just like the cream contour and bronzer duo, I haven't been using it a lot. So I'm gonna try to use this one more because I love these shades. I love peachy blush shades like this. So this is right up my alley, but again, I just haven't been using it a lot. So I'm gonna try to get some more use out of it this month. This new blush from Wet n Wild, the Color Icon blush in the shade Naked Brown. This one has become one of my favorite drugstore blushes. I've been using it so much lately, and it's just the perfect peachy brown blush shade for me. It's pretty neutral, so it goes with pretty much any look that I've done lately. Even if I'm wearing another blush, I usually top it with this one lately because I love this formula so much. I haven't used these cream blushes from LYS Beauty a lot, so I want to get some more use out of them. I don't know what it is, but I just never reach for these. I'm not sure if these are limited edition shades, but I do remember these came in a set of 3, and I ended up giving one away to a friend. I think it was a deeper plummy shade, but this one is in the shade Higher Standard, and it's a really pretty coral sort of peach. Yeah, I think this shade is going to be perfect for spring. And then this one is more of a mauvey tone. This one is in the shade, okay, actually, these are the Higher Standard blushes. This one is in the shade Grateful, and then the other one is actually Unforgettable. I don't know why I thought the shade name was called Higher Standard, but it's actually Unforgettable. I honestly don't remember how these applied, but I remember liking them. So I'm gonna have to keep trying these out. These are the E.L.F. Camo Liquid Blushes, and this one is in the shade Dusty Rose, and then this one is called Suave Mauve. I've been using both of these. They are super pigmented, so you do have to be careful with them. I would definitely apply them on the back of my hand and apply them with a brush. So these do have a bit of a learning curve because they are so pigmented, but they do blend out nicely, and these do actually have a little bit of shimmer. I don't know why I hadn't noticed that before, but now that I'm looking at them under these really bright lights, I'm noticing that they do have some really, really fine shimmer throughout them. These do have, I want to say, a satin finish, so they don't look completely matte on my cheeks. I do really like the finish that they have, and I do like to mix these shades sometimes, but I like them individually as well. And then these ones from Wet n Wild, I like these as well, but I would say they don't wear quite as long as the ones from E.L.F, and they're not as pigmented either, so I don't have to be as careful with these. But these I have in the shades Rosy Romance and Coral Dream, and these are both really pretty. I also like to mix them. These have more of a moussey consistency, so they don't look quite as dewy on the cheeks. I would say these lean more matte or like a satin matte. Maybe I should swatch all 4 actually. I don't know why I didn't think of doing that. Okay, so here is E.L.F. Dusty Rose, E.L.F. Suave Mauve, Wet n Wild Rosy Romance, and then Wet n Wild Coral Dream. The ones from E.L.F. do look pretty dewy compared to the Wet n Wild ones, even just on my arm without having to apply them on my cheeks. You can kind of see the difference in the finishes. The Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick, this one is in the shade Light Medium. I've been trying to use this one up, and I am super close to using it up actually. I haven't been using this as much as I was because I have been using the Milani one so often but I think I can use this up by the end of the summer. The packaging is broken, however, so it is a little tricky to get the product out, but maybe I could even scoop it out into some sort of container to use up the last bit. But I've been making really good progress on this, even though I haven't been using it as much as I was at the beginning of the year. Hopefully they do improve the packaging of this in the future, because honestly, that's the main reason why I wouldn't repurchase this. I do like the formula. I wasn't loving it as much as I do now because I was blending it out with a brush, but recently I tried blending it out with a sponge and I like it a lot more. I thought it looked a lot more seamless on my skin, so I'm back to really liking this. But again, I don't think I'd repurchase it because of the packaging. I have two setting powders in here. This one from Cover FX I've been trying to use up, and I'm really close to using up this powder finally. It's been taking me a few years to do that, but I think I can definitely use this up in a few months. This is such a good setting powder. I think they still make it, but Cover FX isn't sold at Ulta or Sephora anymore. I think you can only purchase it on their website and maybe Beautylish. I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna have to look into that. But this is a really good powder. It doesn't emphasize my dry patches. So even when I'm having a tough time with my skin, this always works for me. I think it's also talc free. And then this one from Charlotte Tilbury. This one is a sample, but it's definitely something that I would purchase the full size of because I've been really liking it. This is in the shade 02 Medium, and it seems to work really well for my under eyes and my entire face. It adds a hint of coverage, so I really like that about it. And especially when I'm doing just concealer, this pairs perfectly with that. I have two setting sprays in here. This one is the Urban Decay All Nighter Ultra Glow, which I don't use as much as the original All Nighter setting spray, but I'm gonna try to get more use out of this because I've had it for, I wanna say like 3 years at least, but it does give a really pretty glowy finish, but I wouldn't say it looks like too much on my skin. Some glowy setting sprays can look way too shiny on me and they tend to emphasize all of my pores, my texture, but this one doesn't do that. I haven't used it in a little while, but I do remember really liking it, so I'm gonna try to use this more often. And then the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Matte Finish Setting Mist. I like the actual product, but the mister is not my favorite. It's not terrible, but I definitely prefer a finer mist. But it's a really good setting spray. It does keep me matte for a few hours, but it doesn't dry out my skin either. So I've been liking it, but it's not a favorite or anything. Okay, so that's it for the first makeup drawer. Let's move on to the second one. So here is the second everyday makeup drawer. I don't have quite as much makeup in this one as I do in the other one, but I have mainly eye products in here as well as lip products. I have my mirror over here and my palette. I like to use this for mixing up foundations because I'm always doing that. But this is the Jack and Rose Light Up Mirror. I got this recently on Amazon and I've been really liking it. It's super handy to have. I don't know why I didn't purchase something like this a long time ago. It is rechargeable, which is really convenient. And it also has a few different lighting settings like warm, cool, and daylight. So I've been using this whenever I need to get ready at my desk. It did come with a 5x magnification mirror, but I don't use this. I haven't even taken off the protective sticker on here. So I don't know if I'll ever use this. I really don't use such magnified mirrors like that. And then I also have this E.L.F. Coffee Lip Scrub. I don't use this a lot, but I do like to reach for it every once in a while, especially if I'm going to be wearing any sort of liquid lipstick or a matte lipstick. But as for the actual makeup, I have 4 lip liners over here. These two are the newest ones in my collection, the ones from E.L.F. And I've been using these a ton lately. I've been loving combining these, especially with this lip oil, also from E.L.F., the Glow Reviver lip oil in the shade Honey Talks. These are only $2 each, so I highly recommend them, not just for the price. They are super cheap, but they are actually really good lip liners. They glide on really easily, but they also wear a decent amount of time. The light one is in the shade Baddest Beige, and then this brown one is in the shade Dark Cocoa. But I've been reaching for these so much lately. I kind of have to start switching it up because that's all I want to reach for as far as my lip liners. So I did go ahead and pick out these two for my everyday makeup drawer. I really like these lip liners, but I just haven't been using them that much lately. This one is the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in the shade Anywhere Caffeine. And this is just my perfect pinky brown lip shade. It is a little bit drier than when I first purchased it, so I'm going to try to use this as much as I can because I don't want it to completely dry out on me. And then same with the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Liner. This one also seems to be a little drier than it used to be, so I'm going to try to use both of them a little bit more, but this is my perfect nude shade. It's neutral, so it pairs really well with a lot of different nude lip colors. And then the Rich Satin Lipsticks from Wet n Wild. I've been really liking these. They're super creamy, really nice and pigmented, and very comfortable on my lips. I especially love pairing this one, which is in the shade Hush Little Beige, with Baddest Beige from E.L.F. These pair really nicely together. This has been my go-to neutral pinky nude lip combo. And surprisingly, I've been reaching for Hush Little Beige the most. I thought I was going to be reaching for this one more. This one is called Brandy Kiss, and this is a reddish brown, but I've been using the other one more for some reason. But let me go ahead and swatch them. Here is the shade Hush Little Beige, and then here is the shade Brandy Kiss. I just love how creamy these are, and they're really pigmented, so these have been my go-to lipsticks lately, especially because my lips have been so dry. These have a really nice satin moisturizing finish. For some reason, I forgot to mention the Too Faced Lip Injection Maximum Plump, and this one, I don't know that they still sell, but this one is, I'm trying to find the shade. Okay, this is the shade Chocolate Plump. It does have a really nice chocolatey scent to it, and it has a little bit of shimmer as well, but I just love how plumping this is for my lips. I can tell a difference, so I like to apply this before applying any other lip products. I've been using the E.L.F. Glow Reviver Lip Oil non-stop. I keep it in my purse most of the time, but I'm planning on getting one more shade so I can keep maybe this one in my everyday makeup drawer. Not that I need any more lip products, but I love this formula. It's so easy to use. I don't even need a mirror with it because it's not pigmented. This is more on the sheer side, and compared to the one from Milani, this one is the Fruit Fetish Lip Oil in the shade Lychee Nectar. This one is a little more pigmented, so it does have more of a pinky tone. I really want to try at least another shade of these, but this is really moisturizing as well. I don't know that I can pick a favorite yet, but I love both of these equally lately. I think I've just used the E.L.F. one the most, of course, because I have had it for a couple of months. And let me swatch them for you. I feel like that might be helpful. This one is the E.L.F. Glow Reviver Lip Oil in Honey Talks. Such a pretty neutral brown shade. I love that it's more on the sheer side, so it pairs really well with lip liners. I love it on its own. And then here is Milani Lychee Nectar. It almost looks like the Milani one would be more on the sheer side, but this one gives me more pigment on my lips. I don't know if it's just because of the shade, but both of these have been my favorites lately. And I love that these both have a giant doe foot applicator. I feel like this is the best kind of applicator for a lip product like this. Okay, moving on to some eye products. I have 4 single shadows over here, and I wanted to bring over some of my single shadows because I don't reach for them that much. I tend to reach for palettes most of the time, so I have 2 ColourPop Super Shock shadows. These are both limited edition. They're from a few years ago. This one is in the shade Good Boy. I like to use this one as an inner corner highlight. I don't know that I've used this all over my lids because it's such a light shimmer, but maybe I could. It's not super opaque, so maybe I'll try that one of these days. And then this one is in the shade Feline Good. Surprisingly, these haven't dried up yet, even though I've had them for a few years, but I do want to get more use out of them before they do dry up. This is more of a bronzy rose gold shade. I love the little paw print on this one. I think the other one had one as well, but it already rubbed off because I've used it a lot more. There's a little bit of pinky shimmer in both of them, I would say, but this one is Good Boy, and then this one is Feline Good. These are some of my favorite Super Shock shadows in my collection, so Sadly, you can't get them anymore, but I'm going to try to use them as much as I can before they dry out on me. And then these two duochromes are from LA Girl. These are the Shade Shifter duochrome eyeshadows. I've definitely used the shade Aura the most, even though this doesn't have the most obvious duochrome shift to it, but there's just something about this shade in particular that I think looks super pretty on the lids. This has a purpley bronzy duochrome shift, and then this one is in the shade Sunset. I don't know that you can see the shift on camera very well, but it has a pinky green and maybe reddish shift. Yeah, I feel like the camera really doesn't do these eyeshadows justice because the shift in person is so cool, but on camera you really can't see it that well. But yeah, I can't believe these are drugstore eyeshadows. Unfortunately, I haven't seen them on Ulta anymore, but I have seen them on their website. So this one from Milani, their eyeshadow primer, has been a favorite for years. I definitely like this one more than the Urban Decay Primer Potion. They're similar, but this one is easier to work with. This one from Wet n Wild, this is the newest eyeshadow primer in my collection, and I've been testing it a ton lately with a bunch of different eyeshadow formulas, and it's been working really well. I wouldn't call this a favorite, however. I still prefer the Milani one, but it's a really good one, super affordable. It is sheer like the Milani one, so they don't give any sort of coverage, but they do smooth out your eyelids. I put the NYX glitter glue in here because I keep forgetting to use this. I've had it for several years, so honestly, I probably shouldn't even have it in my collection. So I might declutter it eventually, but I'm gonna try to use it at least a few times before I do that, because I do remember it makes eyeshadows pop really nicely, especially shimmers. And then this one from Rare Beauty, this is a favorite of mine. This is more of a hydrating eyeshadow primer, so if you have a super oily eyelids, this might not be the best one for you, but if you have normal to dry eyelids, this might work out for you. So I really like this one. And then this liquid eyeshadow from Rare Beauty. This is in the shade Nearly Neutral, but this is a really good liquid eyeshadow. It's really easy to work with, but I want to get some more use out of it, especially pairing it with the Super Shock shadows or even the ones from LA Girl. I feel like they might pair really well with this. This has more of a moussey consistency compared to some other liquid shadows, but I think that's what makes it easy to work with. So I'm definitely going to try to use this more in the spring. And then I have two eyeshadow sticks. This one is the newest one in my collection, the AF94 Shadow Boxer Eye Crayon, and this is in the shade Thrift Shopper. This is a really pretty and unique taupey shade. I don't have anything like this in my collection, but unfortunately I don't love the formula. It's a little bit too sheer for my liking. It looks okay when I first apply it, but once I blend it out, it does look a little too sheer for me. Yeah, such a unique shade. I'm gonna keep playing with it though. I know I've used it a few times and I don't love it, but I also don't hate it, so I don't think it's a bad product. I think you just shouldn't expect it to be super pigmented. But this paired really nicely with the LA Girl Shade Shifter eyeshadows, especially the shade Aura, which is the purpley bronze shade. And then this one from Rare Beauty is the All of the Above Weightless Eyeshadow Stick in the shade Contentment. I love this shade because it is bronzy, but it has a bit of taupiness to it, so this is perfect for really quick everyday looks. I'm going to swatch it right next to the AF94 one. Yeah, they're both taupey, as you can see, but this one is a shimmer. These actually look really pretty together. I might have to try them together. I normally don't pair more than one cream eyeshadow in a look, but maybe I'll go ahead and try it. I do like this formula from Rare Beauty, but it's not the most long wearing. It does tend to crease on my eyelids maybe like 4 hours into wearing it, so not super long wearing, but it does wear a decent amount of time. Okay, on to the brow products that I have. So this one from Glossier is the Boy Brow in the shade Black. I usually use this on its own, so I rarely pair it with an eyebrow pencil nowadays, but it gives a really nice fluffy look to my brows, and I don't have a ton of brows to begin with, but I feel like this helps a lot. And then this one from Too Faced. This one I don't love. This is the Brow Wig in the shade Espresso. The brush is just too big for my liking, so it can be a little messy on my brows, but I do like that it has fibers in it. I feel like it helps my brows to look fluffier because of that. but this is just not something that I would repurchase. I'm pretty sure I got this during one of the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty event, I think a couple of years ago. So I'm going to try to use this up by the end of the year. And then I have 2 brow pencils as well. This one is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Ebony. And even though I like this one, I don't know that I would repurchase it because there are cheaper options that I like a little bit more than this. So it's a good brow pencil, but not something that I would run out and buy as soon as I run out of this. But the shade works really well for me. This one I do like more than the ABH one. This is the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim pencil in the shade Black Brown. And I think they actually changed the name of this. I did go on Ulta the other day and it has a different name. So I'm not sure that they changed the formula as well. But this one I think I'm kind of close to using up. Yeah, I don't have a ton of product left, so I should be done with this by the end of the year. The ABH one is a lot newer, so this one is going to take me probably until all of next year to use up. And then I have the Lash Princess mascaras from Essence. I have the one in black, brown, and black. The one in black brown I do like, but I definitely prefer the original black one. I feel like this one just doesn't give me the same impact, of course, because of the shade. It's a lot lighter, so it doesn't show up on my lashes as much as I would like it to, but I do like this on my bottom lashes, so I've been using it mainly for that. I think I'm just not a huge fan of black brown mascaras for my top lashes, and the formula is slightly different, like ever so slightly. My lashes seem to clump up more easily with this one compared to the black one, so I have noticed a very slight difference in the formula. The black one, like I said, I do like a lot more. This one doesn't clump up the way that the black brown shade does. And I just love how dramatic it makes my lashes look. So I've been wearing this one on my top lashes and then the black brown on my bottom lashes. So that is it for the makeup in this drawer. I'm just gonna quickly run through the products that I have up here. So here is my lash curler. This is from Tweezerman, and it's a good lash curler. I haven't tried that many, but it seems to work well for my lashes. I don't use it every single time that I do my makeup, but I do like to use it every once in a while. For some reason, it freaks me out to curl my lashes, so that's mainly the reason why I don't do it very often. And then this one is a color switch. I got this from Pop Shelf, but it's a really cute heart shape. It is really handy to have, especially if I'm trying to use one brush for a couple of different shades. And then here I have my NARS pencil sharpener. I've tried other ones, but this is just my favorite. It sharpens everything really nicely. And then finally, my tweezers. I don't even know where these are from. These are pretty old, but they get the job done. So that is everything in my everyday makeup drawers. I'm gonna try to use all of these products as much as I can during spring. And then in the summer, I'll go ahead and update everything that I have in here. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.